Hey guys, welcome to this session on habits and mindset. So we, in this session, are going to cover the habits that can make or break you and your success. So remember, this whole session, all of these sessions are about setting your mind up for success, developing a fitness mindset, and stop falling off the wagon. And stop putting the brakes on, which so many people do with their health and fitness. I've added another point into all of this, which is achieve more than you ever thought was possible. Hopefully, as we start going through these sessions, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Actually, I realize that it is possible for me. And that's really my goal, is to unleash, your potential and the potential of 1 million other people. So as we go through this, we're strengthening the pillars to build that long-term health and well-being and maintain our ideal body weights. We've got the merits. We're focused on the mindset at the moment and taking ownership. I'm your coach. You are the actor, and you're trying to take ownership of the process. You don't need me constantly directing you, but you do need to take ownership of it. I can show you directions, but you got to go there. So a little recap from last session. We talked about vision building and goal setting, and I would just go back and review that if you get the time to. Make the time to go back and review that, because your vision and your goals, you really need to hand. You'll get a lot more out of this session if you've got them to hand. We talked about how to set them, the whoop, what's your wish, what's your outcome, what are the obstacles you might face or you will face when you set your goal, and what is your plan when you crop up against those obstacles. If you don't set this up, then you're doomed to fail. And then identifying with, what does that person actually look like? What does that person who has achieved that thing, what do they do? What do they look like in your mind? What do they physically look like? What does it feel like to be like that? What are the things they're doing that makes them that person? Because once you understand that, then you can start acting that way. Discipline versus motivation. We talked about what is more important. Most people think it's motivation, and everyone's always asking, how do I get motivated? It's not motivation. It's not motivation that matters. It's discipline. And we're going to build on that in this session. We're building the process essentially in this session, and we're going to get really specific, because the process is your habits. Before we go any further, if you can just get your weekly review and complete that. What went well this week? What could have been better? You can give yourself a score out of 10 for each one of those areas. And what are you planning on doing this week to go forward and be better? That might change by the end of this session, so that's fine. Okay, so yeah, we're talking about habits today, and building the good ones, busting the bad ones. What we repeatedly do, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. That took me a moment. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So we have to act, we have to habit our way into excellence. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing that we do. That was Aristotle many, many years ago. These are two books that I really love. These books, they're very, very good, because it puts it into perspective for you. The one on the left, The Slight Edge, that was the very first book I ever read on mindset. That was the first kind of self-help book, if you like. If you're going to take one book, I'd go ahead and read that. If you like the Atomic Habits one, that's really good as well. Atomic, Tiny Changes, Remarkable Results. And atomic means small, but it also means mighty. So if you think about the atomic bomb, that's very large, very big explosion, and the atom, something really, really tiny that relates. So it's the atomic habit. So something small leads into something massive. The Slight Edge, that helped me stop smoking, because it put it in perspective for me. What does smoking actually do for you in the long term? Absolutely nothing. It's all about short term, isn't it? It's like smoking. So we're going to cover what are habits, why they're really important, why we have them. Then we're going to dig into what are your habits, and then what are the consequences of those habits. we're going to improve on the bad ones and bust them off, improve on the good ones rather, and then bust off the bad ones. So what are they? They are a settled or regular tendency or practice. A habit is a routine or behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. So we need to bring conscious awareness to what is going on with our habits. A lot of us are just walking through the world and doing the things without really thinking. We need to think if we want to change. Why do we have them? They're bloody important for survival and learning. Imagine, you had to drive a car every time you got in there. If you learn as survival, as our forefathers and cavemen and cave ladies, if you need to move quickly because something's attacking you, you will learn that, and that will become a habit, and that's survival. If you need to drink water, you will learn that, and it will become a habit because it's survival. But imagine you had to learn every time you jump into a car how overwhelming that would be. So we have this area of our brain where we can store things, and your brain doesn't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just knows it's a habit. Okay, so you just have this area of your brain that you will learn and store information. Why are they so important? Well, before I get to why they're so important, I want you to answer this question. Would you like a penny that doubles every day for 31 days, or £1 million right now? Which one do you pick? Most people pick £1 million, but perhaps you pick the penny. If you did, congratulations. You now have £10 million, 737,000. Most of us choose the penny because we are not aware, or we do not understand, the power of compounding interest. What does that mean? It means you get interest on your interest. Okay, right. Well, how does this relate to health and fitness? We can't double our ability every day, but what about if we were only getting 0.1% better or worse each day for 1 year? How much better or worse would you be at the end of the year? And which way do most people normally go? Let's face it, most people are getting worse every year. I don't get worse every year. I get better every year, and I make sure I get better every year. I'm one of these people who thinks as I get older, I'm going to be crippled, or I'm going to be unhealthy, or I'm going to have this horrible disease. I believe as I get older, I'm going to get better. I think that's a bit more healthy. So just really putting this into context with numbers, if we added 0.1% each day for a year, it would be 36.5% improvement over the year. If we added, but we don't add, we're not adding, we're multiplying the effect. So you can see that curve is arching slightly, and it's speeding up as we get to here. So most of the change actually happens in this part of the curve. So because of the compound effect, you multiply your results and you get interest on your interest. So you actually get 0.9% extra over the year, rather than if you just added 1%, 0.1%. So what is 0.1%? Well, it could be a workout, could be hydrating enough, it could be eating well, it could be a cigarette, it could be a burger, it could be any of those big 5 things that we talk about. Well, it is. That's, I don't have a context. I don't have a specific number on how much hydrating every day improves you in numbers, but just imagine it's 0.1%. And that makes it clear that these are the things we need to work on. That's why we do the Big 5 game. Okay, right. So 37.4% every year. That's quite a big improvement, I would say. But what happens over 2 years, 3 years? You're not 37. It's not 37.4 times 2. Okay. 1 year is 37.4. This is a 3-year chart. 2 years is 1,413% difference. And 3 years would be 53,405. That's amazing, isn't it? That is amazing. So you can be 53,000% better over it in a year if you just worked on getting 0.1% improvement. Imagine it was 1% every day for a year. Can you do that? How much better at pull-ups would you be if you just practice pull-ups every day? How much healthier would you be if you just drank water every day for 3 years? Let's talk about 3. Imagine 20 years. Imagine what that number is. I tried to work it out. It's crazy. Can't even bother to put it up there, but it's a lot. Okay, so it speeds up. Now, the problem with this is if you look down here, even at 1 year, really, you can't notice the difference. You don't notice that difference. Have you ever seen somebody after 3 years if they've been exercising, they've been training, and they're like, you're like, bloody hell, they look really good? Or the opposite, if you've seen someone, you haven't seen someone for 3 years and they've been drinking, eating bad, smoking, and they look like shit. And that's why, because it's, you know, that's the compound effect of it. 3 years of doing that. If it had been a straight line from here to here, there'd have been more pain here. But because it's not a straight line, because it's such a small change and then it suddenly creeps up on them, that's why we don't notice. So if you just imagine you had a cigarette and maybe you have to have 10 to get to that point, that'd be very different, wouldn't it? We'd have a heart attack straight away. We'd be like, I'm not smoking again. That's bloody mental. Why would I do that? But the pain isn't there. So this is the power of it. This is why they're so important. Hopefully you've seen this slide before, you know, in your intro in your 6-week program. But if you haven't, if this is new, that's fine. So this is it. So progress is not linear. You might not notice any change for a significant period of time, but if you trust the process, you will start to see changes one way or the other. And nothing is staying level in your life. We all think that, oh, you're just staying normal, really. No, you're not. You're either on one side of the curve or you're on the other. You can't detect the change day to day. That's the thing. That's the problem, really, with it. So you've got to trust the process. And you're either going to end up down here or you're going to end up here. That's the reality. Okay. So what habits have you got? Later on, we're going to show you the habit analyzer, and we're going to make a list of our habits. When I do this, I always do that. That's a habit. When I go to the shop, I always buy crisps. When I go to the cafe, I always buy coffee. When I go home, I always eat a bag of crisps. Those are habits. Some of them, most of those are bad. Some of them could be good. Which habits do you need to break first? Well, we're going to pick the most destructive one. We're going to write down what happens in 3 years. And then we're going to pick that one as the most important one. Now you're probably thinking, you might be thinking, it's just who I am. That's just who I am. I failed before and I'll probably fail again. You know, I might not consciously be thinking it, but you might think this later on once you try it a few times. You're like, oh, I just can't do it. Well, if someone put a gun to your child's head or to your head, could you do it? The answer is probably yes, you probably would do it. Okay, we've got to change our belief. And what you're focused on is really important because you only see what you're focused on. So if you're focused on the fact that you will fail at this, yeah, you're going to fail. And then that's going to reinforce that belief. And then you're going to be, that's just who I am. Forget it. Okay, so be aware of this. What you focused on is really important. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Quite important, failure. Then I don't really, I think I talked about this already, but failure to me doesn't really exist. It's just a learning point. So I'm trying to quantify this. What your subconscious sees in a day could be 10,000, probably more than that, gigabytes of information if we were recording it on a camera all day in HD. Probably be more than that. But anyway, what you notice and remember is only a gigabyte, and your current focus, let's just say for the argument's sake, it's over here. Now, I've been mentioning Iron Man to you. There's an Iron Man picture in the background. This is a real life example. I'm going to put it out there and you're going to notice it probably. Warburton's bread. I had a client of mine, second name Warburton. And since then, I obviously notice Warburton trucks everywhere. Now, I've never seen them before. Well, I have, but I just never noticed them because not in my frame of reference. I notice Iron Man stuff all the time, by the way. Never did before. Never did before I signed up for it. Another example is you got a new car and now your current focus is over here and you're noticing the new car, you're noticing Warburton trucks everywhere and you're going to notice the Iron Man. Okay. So you notice what you tune your brain to. It could be anything. It could be, I am good at something. I am confident. I'm an idiot. You'll notice all the times you're an idiot. So you notice and remember what you are focused on. And you can tune that to one thing deliberately, but most of the time it happens subconsciously. So how many times did you notice the Witterings Fitness logo before you joined, before you were even contemplating coming to do something about your fitness? Probably didn't. Signs everywhere, all over the place. I put them everywhere. I love it. How many times you noticed a new car before you bought it? And yeah, you're basically priming that subconscious. So it could be, I can never do this. I can never change. I'm an idiot. What you're consciously going to see and notice, you're going to consciously see you never changing. You're going to see all the times you'll not be able to achieve anything, and you're going to see all the times you're an idiot. So we need to change it. If you catch yourself saying it, stop and change it. I know you're skeptical about this. Most people are, but if you never try this, you're never going to know if it works. Okay, so if you say, I can't do this, instantly you need to stop and you need to say, I can do it. And every time you say I'm an idiot, not me, you need to stop. I am clever. I can do it. I'm smart. I can do this. Okay, because your words are very powerful. You hear, your subconscious hears you say things. And most of the time it's not you saying it consciously, it's subconscious. It comes out of your mouth sometimes, most of the time it's in your head. So that's why journaling is really important, because you don't always say these things out loud. And then eventually over time, it's going to take time. You're going to notice all the times you're changing. You're going to notice that you achieve something. You're going to notice all the times you're clever. If you want to commit habit suicide, go to that bar. The Habit wine bar and restaurant. Try to implement a habit without changing the story. That's how you commit habit suicide. If you let it slip for more than one day, you're going to commit habit suicide, and you're going to reinforce you can't do it. And as soon as it slips, yeah, that belief is there. You reinforce it. You can't do it anymore. Okay, so that's how to commit habit suicide. We obviously don't want to be doing that. We want to improve our habits. Can we reinforce some we've got? Can we make them better? If you're already making breakfast at a particular time, maybe we just need to change the breakfast rather than introduce a whole new thing. If you want to introduce a new habit, stack it on top of an old one. So every time you brush your teeth, you're going to do this because you already do brush your teeth, hopefully. Use the Big Five game, or if you're happy with the Big Five, you've nailed the basics, build your own, or if you've got a specific goal. This is a habit. We know that. I've shown you this one before plenty of times. Never complain, never excuse the wine. It's kind of our number one thing because it's a habit, and it is a very, very detrimental habit. If this is a habit of yours, you need to bust it because it spreads, it multiplies, it gives us reasons to become better, plenty of reasons, cheats yourself out, becoming, I can't do that because of this. That's a complaint, that's an excuse. Going to change your brain chemistry, your focus is on the negative. So think about what is it you complain, make excuses about, because that's probably a habit. It's not easy doing this. It is hard, but as with everything, it's going to be worth it. So expect it to be hard, because if you do, then you're going to knuckle down when it gets a bit tougher. Discipline is about choosing between what you want now and what you want the most. Love that. We've talked about the subconscious minds. It's 80% of what you do. 80%. So your habits, your affirmations, they can become affirmations. They can become things that you tell yourself. It's a story about you, and it gets stored up in there, and it goes round and round and round, and we're just walking around not thinking about it. So we need to be aware. Okay, I said it's going to be hard. We reckon it's going to take 30 days for you to change a habit, realistically. Okay, so 10 days, it will be unbearable. 10 days, it will just be uncomfortable. And 10 days, you'll be unstoppable. You won't be able to do it after another 10 days. You won't be able to stop doing it. It'll be hard to change it the other way. You could try brushing your teeth with the other hand and see how unbearable that is. Sleeping in a different side of the bed or a different position. So you go back home tonight and you sleep in your partner's side of the bed and see what happens. Learning to drive. When you first started to learn to drive, pretty hard. drink more water. It could be something simple like that. Eat more healthy foods. These things, exercise. Each one of these, I need you to trust that it's going to take you 30 days, and it's going to be quite tough. So it might be a case of just taking one habit at a time. If you've got a lot to work on, don't want to be doing this 100% with anything, because otherwise it's overwhelming. So pick one habit. Do not procrastinate. Do not let this carry on. This is the time now. Procrastination is the enemy of success. You cannot get anywhere if you procrastinate. Little tool for you to use is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So if you're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to drink my water. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to get out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I am going to step away from the cookie jar. That's a little tool that is quite handy. Okay, this is an example. This is I've just done this. So my vision, my goals, and the habits and the processes I need to achieve those goals. So this is my big 5. My vision is I want long-term health and well-being. I want to be free from disease and injury. That's my vision around my health and fitness. My goals this year, I'm going to do a Spartan Warrior 10K on the 8th of May. Signed up for that. This is just fitness related, obviously, goals. There's other goals I have, but these are just fitness related ones. And they've got to be in line with my vision, which is free from injury. Okay, so I'm not going to do that 10K if it means that I'm going to break my knee, and my knee features in this because it's a little bit injured right now. Swanage half Ironman, 18th of September. I'm going to start training for that, or focusing on that in March. But right now I'm going to focus on this Spartan Warrior, which is an obstacle course race. If you're tempted to sign up for this, 8th of May, do it. There's a 5K one. You can do this if you're a complete beginner. Challenge yourself. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. What are the processes or habits I need to create? Use the big 5 as a guide. Include detail, so you know whether you did it or not. There's no black and white whether I didn't really do it. You didn't do it. Okay. You need to have almost a tick list. Use the game where you've got a tick. I've done it. Okay. So I need to journal. When am I going to do it? I'm going to do it after dinner. Why am I doing that? It's to reinforce my brain to know that I can do those things, and just be aware of any doubt that might be creeping in there. Training, 100% activity every day on my activity watch. I use Polar. We sell them in the gym if you want one. They're really good. They connect to the systems and the heart rate stuff. And it just allows you to track your activity, and it allows you to track your sleep. If I'm not training, if I'm on one of my 3 days a week at Witterings Fitness, even made this better, I could have picked the days that I'm going to do as well. On the days off, I'm running or I'm walking. I'm going to get at least 2 runs in a week, and maybe a long walk on a Saturday or Sunday. Okay. I need to make sure I climb the ropes after or during each training session, because this, I believe, has some rope climbing involved. So that is my very loose training plan. It can be more specific than that, and it will be when I start training for the half Ironman. Be very much more structured. Drink at least 2 liters of water. I've got my water right here. It's a 1.5 liter bottle, so I'll make sure I get through at least one and a bit of those every day. With the teas and stuff, that's probably 2 liters. It's winter at the moment while I'm filming this, so it's not as hot, but if it's hotter, I'd probably go for 2 of those at least. Make my smoothie for breakfast, prepare a decent lunch. It's very tempting to not do that. I've put hydration there, I've just realized, but that should be nutrition. So make my smoothie and breakfast, prepare a decent lunch. Sometimes I don't manage to get that done. And I have a habit, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which means that I don't always get that done. And then I end up having a crap nutrition for the day. I'll go down the shops and buy a sandwich, or I just don't eat anything and end up eating these snack bars, things like that. At least, like, I've got backups. Like, I've got these bars which are healthy, but those aren't relying on. I'm not relying on those. Those are backups. Spend at least 10 minutes per day on recovery, addressing my knee injury. I've got a little niggle in my knee. Sometimes it hurts. It's getting much better, but because I'm doing the knee rehab. But if I don't do the rehab, it doesn't get better. So if I am injured, accept it, focus on getting better as soon as possible so that I can carry on training. Sleep, 7 to 9 hours a day. I track that on my watch, obviously. I like to try and get at least a good. If I didn't get a good, I'll be like, why? Why didn't I get a good? And I'll be thinking about what I can do to get better. The biggest thing you can do with sleep, get to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time. And mine's 9:30 to 5:30, 8 hours every day. All right. Habit analyzer. So you can do this. I would do it electronically. I'll include a spreadsheet for you in the workbook. But the bad habit analyzer, tackle one habit at a time. So I talked earlier about how you identify your habits. So these are some of mine. So when I get to work, I always make a coffee. What is the effect of that? I over rely on it when I'm tired. I feel like I need coffee. I know it's not particularly healthy. Well, if I have too much, that is. It's jittery. I get a bit jittery if I have too much. It can affect my sleep later on, which then means I need more of it. And it's definitely not good for my teeth. What will happen if I multiply that effect by 20 years? I'm just going to have terrible sleep. It will affect my overall health, my fitness, and my teeth will probably need quite a bit of work. Probably also have quite bad breath. So what am I going to do instead? I need to make it specific and measurable so that I know whether I've done those things. I only have 2 a day, and I don't have any after 12 o'clock. That's my hard kind of coffee cut-off time. I'm going to remove coffee from my diet 2 weeks before any events, and that's partly because then when you have it on the day, you get a big old caffeine boost, which is great. Or every time we do a fitness MOT. So that means every quarter, I'll do a week or 2 weeks where I'm off coffee, and that I just feel like it's a good reset to do. And sometimes I just do it because I have bad sleep and I just know that coffee is just the thing that I need to take out. So coffee is probably one of the things that I need to work on. And sometimes I overdo it a bit and it does affect my sleep. When I get to work or periodically throughout the day, I always check my social media. So that can be very distracting, can reduce my productivity, can be bad for my mental health. There's plenty of research around that, comparing yourself against others. So what will happen if I multiply that? Yeah, bad mental health, I achieve a lot less than I could. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to set times throughout the day. So 10 a.m., I'm going to be checking my social media and maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't need to check it more than that. Okay. Remove all the apps from my phones. I don't have Facebook on my phone because it pings all the time. I've got Instagram because I film stuff in the gym. But if I start checking it too regularly, then I will just delete it and take a complete break when on holidays, a complete break, or during MOT week. There's no reason why we can't just have a week off. You know, it is as bad, and I am as bad as everybody else. Probably, maybe not as bad because I'm aware of that habit, but I know that is not good. And I think anything that you can't do a week off is probably something that we should address. Whenever I get home, I overeat, particularly if I didn't have any food that day. And what happens? I get bloated. It makes it uncomfortable to sleep. It's not good. And then I get poor sleep, reduce my overall health. So again, it's just kind of reinforcing. I need to prepare my food that evening. I need to fast until 9:30. I have my smoothie breakfast, lunch at 1, dinner at before 8, because after 8 o'clock, my digestion system is not as good. When I get engrossed into work, I always miss work. Well, occasionally, I put occasionally there. It's not very often for me, to be fair, but it has happened. I miss workouts. Therefore, I become less fit. I don't do my knee rehab. I'm not going to get better. If I keep doing that over 20 years, I'll have fucked knees, poor health and fitness, reduced quality of life. And I don't want any of that. Thank you very much. So spend 10 minutes before or after my workout to focus on the knee exercises and work out set times every day. I usually go out at 3 o'clock for a run and I'll train with the group at 12, 1 or 4:45. Depends on my schedule, but I know I get it done. So there you go. Those are my bad habits. So If that is overwhelming, if you've got a lot of habits that are bad on there, just pick the top one, pick the worst, pick the most detrimental one. Don't worry about the others. Focus on the pain, the habit. What happens if you keep doing that for 20 years? This is how I quit smoking. This is how I used to smoke. I used to drink a lot and I didn't exercise very much. 20 years of smoking. What does that do to you? Jesus, that does a lot. Yeah. It's very expensive to start with. It's expensive because it will cost your health insurance a fortune, as I found out the other day. I believe if you smoke, so someone my age, I was talking to about this, be about 30 quid a month for their health insurance, their life insurance. If they smoked, it was 80. Obviously, that's one thing. The cost of the cigarettes is another. The effect on your health is massive. You know, risk of cancer, don't want that. Thank you very much. Lung disease, don't want that. You know, this attitude of, oh, I'm just going to live hard, die young. Well, there is another option. You can live a long time and live really, really well. I never understood that. What happens if you get knocked down tomorrow by a bus? Smoking smoke. What happens if you don't? What happens if you live and get cancer and die slowly? Horrible. No, don't understand that argument at all. That's just an excuse. That's bullshit. Deep down, you know that's not right. Okay, so be aware of those habits that you've got. Submit them to your coach. Tell your coach when you need help. We don't know if you're falling off the wagon, if you need help. We only know if you put your hand up, if you talk to us. Okay, send us a message, put your hand up, make it obvious, talk to us, and we can help you. Don't be the gray man. What's your biggest takeaways from this? Hopefully you feel a bit more empowered around making and breaking habits now, and you believe that you can learn new habits, and you understand all those challenges involved, and you have made that plan to start working towards your goals. Okay, we're basically addressing the obstacles that might crop up in the pursuit of your plan here. Okay, wicked. Thanks for watching. The next session will be on willpower. If you've got any questions for me on habits, then please submit them and I will happily answer them. And thanks again. All the best. Smash it. Cheers, guys.